For starters, could you just give me a bit of a 101 who and what is Bambi Slaughter?
That's the question I fear the most.
It's a good question. I will start. My name's Raiko. I'm playing drums. And yeah, I just joined the band like 2 years ago, starting with the pandemic, which was not a very good time to start, but a good time to maybe practice and get to know each other. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm Max. I'm the vocalist, and I'm here from the very beginning. I think we started in 2016, when I'm right, or 2015. Yeah, I was pretty much like meeting Roby at my workplace. He was my boss, and then from there we took this whole journey till now, till here.
From now to here, my name is Robert. I'm playing the bass, and this is Matti playing the guitar. Hi, say hi to the people. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, let's talk about music, of course. Well, stoner rock meets punk, I read somewhere, but just in your own words, how would you describe your music?
Yeah, we would describe, like, we started as like actually big fans of course, Nirvana and the whole grunge movement, and that's actually our sound originated from there. But since we were big fans of stoner, and which is like pretty popular in Berlin these days, we changed our sound going from grunge in a stoner direction, and this is pretty much the whole. It's not a genre, but it's like our style. Like from now, it's like a mixture of punk, metal, and then stoner. So yeah, this is. I couldn't describe it for myself like better than this, but you have to come to our concerts to check it out.
As you said, you're big fans of Nirvana. How is it to make like grunge type music nowadays? How do you feel about the genre as a whole?
But the weird thing about grunge is that it was never actually a genre, you know. Like people, it was a specific time in a specific place, like Seattle, and then people were doing like shitloads of different kinds of music, but the people still labeled it like, or the music press labeled it as grunge. So it's always hard to put this label onto yourself, but it describes a pretty common way of thinking, like a style, a certain way of living, and it's like this metal music, which like hard guitars with the influence of punk music, and this is what I always felt related to, and was always something I could identify myself with. And I think like this whole punk attitude, like I always loved punk, but punk was to me too elitist to actually go for it, and putting metal into it was changing the whole thing, and it was going away from this punk attitude stuff, and I felt pretty home there. And like, especially since Cobain made it available to the masses, it was like actually a real cool moment in music history that a lot of people were accessing it. And I was like, actually, it started from there when I was like a little kid and I heard Nirvana for the first time. I completely fell in love with this whole style of music, of just being able to put this whole energy into this yell and play an aggressive style of guitar. It was like I was a fan the first time I heard it.
Yeah, that's like really the thing. What does a genre mean? Any genre. So I think for this music in general, what you said, it's like the energy is the most important thing. And for me, maybe I also have the perspective because I just joined a couple of years ago, and before that I knew Roby and the guys, and I was more like seeing him as from the perspective of the fan. And it's just like about the energy. For me as a listener, I didn't really care. Is it grunge? Is it rock? Is it punk? Is it whatever? It's just, you know, it's always a combination of things, and that's what I really like about this music.
Rock bands don't have the luxury of, you know, coming up with their own genres.
Exactly, yeah. It's right. It's exactly this.
But, you know, going maybe deeper into the music, how are you writing and, recording new music at the moment?
Yeah, at the moment it's funny because like since Raiko is here, it changed. The way we actually created music changed drastically, because back then when we started this whole thing, I was like sitting at home playing on my acoustic guitar and writing stuff, and then I came into the rehearsal space, and then I tell people I told people what to play, and it was like, okay, you should play this, and it was pretty much coming from my own direction, and I hated that, and like we more and more grew into a real band, and like everyone like was contributing even more, and until this point where Reiko was entering the scene, it was like suddenly we were just like jamming around, and since this moment we actually creating music like as a whole band, and like just without anything that was like pre-written from my side. Now it's like just like playing in a room, like put us 4 people into a room and then we just start to play, and it's like actually super, like to me it felt so great, because finally it was like creating music like in a group of people and not just for my own, you know.
Yeah, and I also think in this situation, the nice thing about it is that like everybody who's playing with each other, every person is bringing something to the table, and like your own background, it's different. For me, I would say maybe my background is not that much punk rock, and some other people in the band maybe, but that's like the whole thing that makes the end product in the end, because everybody has his own influences, and that's the way you start playing, and then it all kind of gets together into a new mix, and then you have your own genre, if you can call it some way.
Absolutely.
Rock and roll is, of course, much about the live. So how do you transfer what happens here in rehearsal space? How do you translate that on a live situation as a band?
Okay, I have to be very careful, because I ended up being in a company where I'm just pretty much doing a job I really don't like, and like all the magic happens in here. Like whenever I go here, it's like I free myself from all the anger, all the frustration I have at my workplace, and it's pretty much like it went to a situation where we always got here and got like into a lot of partying. Like we played a lot of music and also like did a lot of partying and stuff, and it's pretty much a lifestyle where we just like living for this very moment, and then you go back home and then you wake up the next day being pretty hungover, and you have to do your job and just play the person you're actually not. Like, you know, like to me it was always, this is my life, like I love doing this, and I always, when I enter this room or like anything related to this makes me feel like I'm alive, you know, and I'm living this to 100%, and like this whole lifestyle has to be cut loose when I have to go to my daily work life, and it frustrates me a bit, or not a bit, a lot actually.
Yeah, I think it's like this room is like a second living room, and it's always nice to come back and just feel comfortable and at home with the guys, and then just some days you play more and some days you play less, or just talk, or you know, we're not just here like a specific time from then to then and rehearse. We are just here to like catch up and be friends.
Yeah, as you said, you are playing next show in May. This interview will be out at that point. But yeah, how does the 2023 look for you guys? It's been a few years since the last recording, so what's coming up?
I hope there will be a lot more than it was like in the past years, because like we had this moment was like we were in a very frustrating time, like back from when we recorded the first EP and we went into sort of a career and like played very big shows and stuff, and then suddenly there was this COVID situation where there was nothing of it left, and our drummer left, and then we had to start from scratch. And it was like with Reiko now we're working continuously on a new style and on a style which comes from the heart. Like nothing is planned, like everything is like being created in one moment. And now we are like in this studio we created, that everything is on the get-go. Like we can just start putting the record button and then play some music. And I hope that finally I will be comfortable with the results, because I'm always like a big bummer when it comes to releasing stuff, because I don't like my voice in particular, and then I want to redo it and until the point where we don't do anything with it. And my goal for 2023 is like to put out at the very end of the year, put out another EP and go like into become a full blown band like in 2024 again.
how has it been for you guys? You know, coming out of the COVID. You know, as a band that doesn't, you know, do stadiums and charge 70 euros for a gig. So, what is your experience?
That didn't work.
So, what is your experience? How is it for smaller bands to come out of COVID in Berlin?
You want to answer it? Because like it was pretty much like this moment where Raiko was being in the band and suddenly everything fell apart. So
all my fault.
Yes, maybe this is it.
I don't know. Yeah, it's. I think it's just hard. I think that's the clear answer to that. For us, these 2 years were pretty much a standstill, and you know people get older, or you just have to reconnect with a lot of people in the scene and see what's still happening and what maybe doesn't happen anymore after a time. So yeah, we're just in readjusting, I would say, to this new situation and seeing what clubs are still there, what venues are there, who's managing them now. And I feel like with this past 2 years, a lot of people you maybe knew before, they are not maybe active anymore in the scene, and that's why you have to make new contact points, and yeah, it's hard. So we're looking for definitely to add some more shows this year. We already had some and have a new gig coming up, and hopefully to get some more in the summertime and in the end of year, and also focusing on the recording. We did a lot of recording in the past 2 years when there were no gigs. But like Max said, yeah, we have to decide, or maybe at some point he has to decide for some things if it's worth to get out. Like yeah, we have a lot of stuff on our hard disk. We just have to take the time and really go through it and decide. Also decide like. Over the last 2 years, maybe our style changed a little bit. I don't know. It's hard to tell because it's also always a mix of things. But that's why also maybe at some point you have to decide for one song or the other. If it's a better fit.
Could you shed a bit of light on the upcoming material? What would you want to say about the upcoming songs? Or the upcoming EP?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it was like at one point I wasn't even sure if I like to go into this direction, because I was going away so much from the original punk stuff we did, and like there isn't even metal in it. We put a lot of elements of stoner into it, but it's like right now it's more beat driven, and there's a lot of focusing on the instrumentals. Like back then we did like sort of like, I wouldn't say pop songs, but we did like, it was very straightforward material which was going like A, B, C parts, and I was singing on it, and now we actually take the time to really delve into the song and then just like try to make it like, I don't know, like to run along with it and take more time to actually go from zero and until a point where the actual song starts. So the song's getting more and more, like they get longer. That's for sure. That's something that changed drastically. Before then we had like 2 or 3 minute songs, and now we end up like with 6 minutes. It's getting more progressive in a way, but also more beat driven and more like, imagine you're in a band and you just jam a lot, and we try to make those jam sessions and create songs from there. So it's definitely more a more connected work. Like each member is like doing something. I don't know how to put it.
For the instruments,
yes,
they can put out their full.
It's not an intimidate work anymore. It's not like one guy wrote a song which he could play on a folk guitar. It's just really something which is focusing on the whole band, and I'm actually super excited for it, and I can't wait to release material, because it's like something I didn't do before, but it's something I was so much waiting for, and I'm super happy to present the results back in the end of the year.